Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to the marketplace. Now, the World Bank is charging government to focus more on investing in the agri sector. Speaking at the Ghana and World Bank at 60 event launch by the country director of the World Bank, Henry Kerali, he said investors are now targeting sectors where they could safeguard their resources, and the agri sector remains the place for such investments.
Ghana has been doing well. We really believe that Ghana's potential, Ghana is beginning to realize its potential. As we've said before, agriculture, for example, recently has shown tremendous growth. We also know that due to the commodity prices, oil and gas have been fairly low in terms of international prices, but also production has been low. So the combination of increasing production in oil and gas and slight increases in international prices also means that these have boosted growth. Focus should be on agriculture, I think. Oil and gas will naturally grow, but they will also plateau. Maybe in 5, 6, 7 years' time, they will hit a peak. But agriculture has really almost unlimited potential in Ghana. If you look in the north in particular, the amount of land that is available, we really need to focus, help Ghana to focus on increasing efficiency, in creating value chains, in creating the infrastructure so that people can offtake what is.
Celebrating 70 years of its existence and progress in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. The theme for this year's event is Mobilizing for Sustainable Cocoa Economy. Now, let's go to the Ashanti regional capital, Jubilee Park to be specific, where the president is.
Fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen, gathered here in Osenku, Kumasi, capital of the great Asante Kingdom, to mark World Cocoa Day. And in doing so, celebrate the hundreds of thousands of cocoa farmers across the country who are responsible for the production of a crop that has for over a century been the mainstay of the economy of our country. We're here also to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the establishment of the Ghana Cocoa Marketing Board, the organization mandated to oversee the production, research, extension, internal and external marketing, and quality control of our cocoa industry. On behalf of the Ghanaian people and its government, I say a big aiko to our hard-working cocoa farmers. And an equally big aiko to the board of directors, management and staff of COCOBOD on this milestone. On such an occasion, we must acknowledge with gratitude the work of past generations of cocoa farmers who are responsible for the growth of the cocoa industry. In their hundreds and hundreds of thousands, they work to provide us the income with which we have built our nation's infrastructure and its most important educational institutions. We cannot, of course, tell the story of Ghana's cocoa without mentioning of the legendary Ghanaian, Tete Kwasi, through whose efforts the cocoa industry was established and nurtured. We all know the story of how he, in 1870, undertook a voyage to the then Spanish colony of Fernando Po, now the island of Bioko in Equatorial Guinea. He returned to Ghana 6 years later with several cocoa beans and planted them at Ekwapim Mampo with some success. Friends and relatives also undertook the planting of cocoa when pods were distributed to them, and soon other farmers followed suit. Thus was born the greatest industry Ghanaians have so far built. We must, at such a time, Recollect also those great patriots who led the agitation in the Gold Coast in seeking just and fair rewards for our cocoa farmers, an agitation that resulted eventually in the establishment of the Cocoa Marketing Board. By 1935, 60 years after the arrival of Tetakwasi from Fernando Po, our farmers were supplying half of the world's tonnage of cocoa. As was the order of those times, they did not have any say in the price paid for their products. When world cocoa prices began to slump, most of the European firms who purchased cocoa formed a pool to agree on the price to be paid for cocoa. This pool was viewed with great suspicion by the farmers, and with the cooperation of chiefs and advice from persons like Dr. Joseph Wachidankwa and the other nationalists, the farmers decided to boycott the pool and refused to sell their cocoa to them. Dr. Dankwa wrote an account of the boycott in a pamphlet titled The Liberty of the Subject. It was largely the agitation led by Dr. Dankwa which brought about the appointment of the Noel Commission in 1937. Indeed, the recommendations of the Noel Commission eventually led to the establishment of the Cocoa Marketing Board in 1947. For his efforts, on 13th July 1946, the farmers presented Dr. Dankwa with a commendatory and acclamatory address at Nsawam for showing them the way to prosperity. They referred to him as a Kwiafo Kanya, the light of the farmers, for his role in seeking a better welfare for them. 7 years after the establishment of the Cocoa Marketing Board, the Hall Council of University College of the Gold Coast, now University of Ghana, decided to name the newly constructed Hall of Residence Kwiafo Hall in appreciation of the generous gesture of the farmers of the then Gold Coast, who through the Cocoa Marketing Board contributed considerable sums of money for the establishment of Kwiafo Hall as a hall of residence. These farmers also contributed to other structural works for the University College of the Gold Coast in a project which was spearheaded by Dr. Dankwa. This is part of the monumental contribution of cocoa farmers to the development of our country. And I think it appropriate that on this occasion we recollect these facts in order to give credit to those whom credit is due. Through the years, our cocoa industry has suffered many highs and many lows. From being the largest producer of cocoa in the world at one point in time of our history, we've had to deal with outbreaks of diseases that attack cocoa trees, and with declines in production in the 1960s and 1970s. We even had to deal with a near collapse of the industry in the 1980s. Cocoa production began its recovery in the 1990s, and from the year 2001 to 2003, the first 3 years in office of that outstanding Ghanaian citizen, the former President of the Republic, His Excellency John Ajay, cocoa production nearly doubled over the figures witnessed in the 1990s. The policies the Kufuor-led MPP government put in place, such as the mass cocoa spraying exercise, ensured that as projected, by 2011, we produced 1 million metric tons of cocoa. Unfortunately, we have since gone downhill. I'm confident, however, that with the reintroduction of the Cocoa Diseases and Pest Control Program, CODAPEC, otherwise known as Mass Cocoa Spraying Exercise, on 7th August 2017, at Dansukrum and Sefirioso, together with the provision of subsidized fertilizer to farmers, we will regain our pride of place in the cocoa industry. Again, as part of measures to improve productivity, the Ministry of Finance no longer exercises oversight responsibility over the cocoa industry, which has been the previous practice. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture is now responsible for all matters relating to the cocoa industry, a step which aids in the effective formulation of the relevant coherent policies required for boosting agricultural productivity, including cocoa productivity. Ladies and gentlemen, today, one of the greatest threats to the cocoa industry in our country is not disease or pest. Price volatilities on the international cocoa market represent perhaps the biggest threat to our cocoa. The prices of cocoa bean prices have plummeted and have been forecast to remain low till the year 2020. The fortunes of our farmers, unfortunately, have become tied to the volatile cocoa bean market. This is why the two largest producers of cocoa in the world, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, have now decided to cooperate in ensuring that we do not continue to be victims or pawns of a global cocoa industry that is dependent on the work of our farmers. I have, since assuming office, worked closely with His Excellency Alassane Ouattara, President of the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, to provide the necessary leadership for technical and political cooperation that addresses effectively the international cocoa price decline in the short to medium term. We are fashioning far-reaching policies towards achieving a shared vision of an industrialized and prosperous domestic cocoa economy. This, I am sure, will reduce our vulnerability to the volatility of the markets and help deliver prosperity to our farmers and people. I have said it before, but on such an occasion, I believe it bears repeating. Together, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire account for more than 60% of the world's cocoa output. Ghana, for example, earned $2 billion United States from the sale of cocoa beans in the year 2015, and Cote d'Ivoire, $3.7 billion United States, amounting together to $5.7 billion United States. And yet, the chocolate market in 2015 was worth some $100 billion. It means that the farmers whose toil and sweat produce 60% of the world's cocoa and 5.75% of the global value of their activity. This cannot and should not continue. It is manifest injustice. We have to devise ways of ensuring that our farmers reach much greater value from their toil. I have, amongst other measures, directed the Minister for Food and Agriculture to direct COCOBOD to work towards increasing domestic processing of company up from the current levels to a minimum of 50% of annual production by 2020. This will significantly increase export revenues and foreign exchange earnings from cocoa. Processing must also go behind just grinding of the beans to tertiary manufacturing for table consumption. Chocolate and cocoa products from Ghana should be readily accessible anywhere on the globe. As part of the One District, One Factory program, COCOBOD and other private sector actors will roll out programs that create small-scale cocoa processing industries across the cocoa growing districts of our country. And I'm challenging our enterprising youth to take advantage of this opportunity. The export market, nonetheless, must not be the sole focus for increasing the processing of our cocoa. The health benefits of cocoa are enormous. Ghana produces the best cocoa, which has strong nutritional value, and it is time that our consumption increases in our own backyard. Currently, per capita consumption of cocoa in Ghana stands at 0.5 kilograms. This should increase to 1 kilogram per Ghanaian in the short to medium term. This should begin with inculcating the habit of consuming cocoa in our children. This will not only develop the taste for cocoa products, but will also help them stay healthier to contribute their quota towards the transformation of Ghana. It is for this reason that the Ministry of Agriculture through COCOBOD, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection through the school feeding program, and the Ministry of Education through the Ghana Education Service are to ensure the sustained provision of cocoa beverages and chocolates to school children from primary school up to secondary level. The target is to provide every Ghanaian student beverage each day in school. This program has been given the needed impetus by some manufacturing companies who have agreed to support the program. The Ministry of Tourism, in its programs to boost tourism, has also rolled out campaigns to incorporate the promotion of Ghanaian cocoa products. I am reliably informed by the dynamic Minister for Tourism, Honorable Catherine Afeku, Member of Parliament for Ejura Jomoro, that one of the world's biggest Afrobeats artists, our very own Fuse, ODJ, in addition to his other duties as tourism ambassador, has taken upon himself to promote the consumption of cocoa products, not only in Ghana, but across the world. I thank him for this patriotic gesture, and I thank Ochiame Kwame also for his advocacy of the merits of cocoa. I also, on this occasion, wish to reiterate the commitment of government towards the improvement of the welfare of cocoa farmers. The Minister for Food and Agriculture and COCOBOD will ensure that in spite of the over 40% drop in world cocoa prices, their price review for the coming season will not leave farmers shortchanged. Indeed, government will make sure the producer prices paid to Ghanaian cocoa farmers remain unchanged and will be in sync with those of Ivorian farmers. Government is also working on the cocoa pension scheme for cocoa farmers, the first of its kind in our history. This will not only benefit cocoa farmers, but all those involved in the cocoa value chain as well. I'm confident that the measures outlined will enable us to attain a significant level of self-reliance, promote industrialization, and provide adequate cushion against the adverse effects of price shocks. We are an oil-producing nation today, but I can assure you that it will not be under my watch that Ghana will be struck with the Dutch disease. Despite the growth in importance of oil and gas in our economy, proceed with our plans of building a world-class cocoa industry, which will be the envy and toast of the world. I cannot end this speech without one important, somber admonition. I'm charging the new board of directors and management of COCOBOD to put behind them the era of systemic mismanagement, gross financial malfeasance, and flagrant misappropriation of funds that allegedly characterized the running of COCOBOD in the recent past. The Ghanaian people demand accountability and the judicious use of COCOBOD funds, and I know you will not disappoint them. I believe very strongly that Ghana is on the cusp of a new beginning, which will repudiate the culture of failure. We are determined to lift our country out of the doldrums. Let us work together and use all the blessings that the Almighty has bestowed on us to bring prosperity and progress to our people in our time. The black star is poised to shine and shine again. Truly, the project is beyond aid. Once again, happy birthday to COCOBOD, and I wish our farmers a happy World Cocoa Day. Thank you, and may God bless us.
And those were live proceedings from the Ashanti Regional Capital, Jubilee Park in Kumasi, where the president was addressing this year's 70th anniversary of the COCOBOD. And on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. We'll certainly bring to you some other stories, plus details of this event currently ongoing in Kumasi on Business Live. My name is Emmanuel Apwachi. We have a good afternoon.